Breaking Bad is widely regarded as one of the best TV shows in recent years. I first watched the show when I was first discovering the world of good movies and TV, and what I had thought about the show was that it was definitely gripping, and I ended up watching the first 5 seasons in 2 or so weeks. I own the steelbooks for every season now, and I thought I'd go back to it. I was skeptical about whether or not Breaking Bad was one of the TV shows with an intelligent and interesting plotline, but not much technical ability to back it up, and I was immediately proved wrong. This is definitely not the case for Breaking Bad. It has incredibly competent writing, and the visuals do a solid job of telling the story in other ways, so I am pleasantly surprised by Season 1. It's beating a dead horse to say that the creators of Breaking Bad have done something brilliant, or to say that Breaking Bad's plot is expertly handled. Season 1 creates a story that is believable and feels grounded in reality. Some of the actions that characters made throughout the season were incredibly frustrating, but nothing about them was ridiculous or didn't make sense. And on second thought, every event in the season is something that would happen based on how the characters are introduced to the viewer. And the way this is done, especially in the pilot episode, is something that other TV shows should definitely follow. The average TV show throws away the pilot episode to introduce the characters and the world they live in, and while Breaking Bad does these things, it does them in very clever ways. The first episode of Breaking Bad is one of the better episodes throughout the season because of these things. I also think a stronger focus on characters than on plot sets a solid foundation for the season and the series as a whole. The opening episodes don't actually progress the plot all that much, or at least not as much as I remember. The crystal meth doesn't even have that large a role in the overarching story of Season 1, and this is definitely something that sets the show up for some brilliant later seasons. One of the reasons I think Walter White is considered to be such a great anti-hero and a great character is because his transformation throughout the series is one of subtlety. Being able to witness actual tangible changes in his character is what makes him so great. Without his character being as well handled as it was, Breaking Bad would not be anywhere near as good as it is. To the audience, Walter White at the opening of the show isn't all that different to Walter White at the end of Season 1. His actions and the events of the season do make an impact on his character, and that can be seen in the last 2 episodes, but the last few minutes of the season are a reminder that Walter is still somewhat the same person he was before the events of Season 1. What you get for the other characters is really their relationship to Walter. For their arcs, it's more about how they react to Walt's situation and his reaction to his situation. What I do get a feeling of throughout the season, however, is a level of overcompensation in characterization. Every so often, a character will be introduced, and their characteristics will seem overly stereotypical. It's only minor characters, but in an attempt to make them impactful in their limited role, I think too much subtlety is lost. There are also some weaker moments in some performances, but nothing overly distracting, and for the most part the acting was pretty great, but again, I would be beating a dead horse to say that. The aspect of Breaking Bad that surprised me the most was the cinematography. Season 1 was much more visually interesting than I thought it would be. It still has a very low-budget feel to it, but the way it's handled works around this and works it into the style and tone of the series. There is also a certain sense of realism to the nature of the cinematography. It's handheld, but not obviously so. It doesn't seem purposefully shaky, it all seems very natural, and I think its presence in almost every scene is what makes it less distracting. It permeates the entire show, and so it seems to fade into the background. Not to mention the shots are also very well framed and cut. The editing isn't as noticeably great as the cinematography, and it doesn't make as much of an impact on the show, but it does its job incredibly well. The aspect of Breaking Bad I remember the most is the soundtrack, which was suitably great. The choices for songs are not only great in tonal and stylistic senses, but actually listening to the songs, a lot of the lyrics fit in with the context of the song's use. As well as this, the score is great and used very well. Overall, Breaking Bad is definitely worth the praise it gets. Considering Season 1 is apparently the weakest season of the series, the bar has been set incredibly high. And if, for some reason, you haven't seen Breaking Bad, then you definitely should. And,
Breaking Bad Season 1 gets 9 out of 10. Drop some coins. That was funny, right?